everyone. I'm Hamzah, FreelancingWala, and I'm back with a new guest. So, as always, we always bring a new guest. I always bring a new guest on my podcast. So, today I have brought someone who is passionate about helping people grow, build resilience, and live more meaningful lives. So, today our guest is Miss Jennifer Stoult. She is the founder of Interwoven Therapeutic. So, let's chit chat with her and let's get to know more about her. So, first of all, hi, Miss Jennifer. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me on, and I'm excited to have this conversation.
Likewise here. So, Miss Jennifer, as I think I have introduced most of yourself, so if you would like to add a few more words in about yourself, you are most welcome here.
Sure. Well, I am by trade, I'm a massage therapist. That was kind of what I started my journey. And then I'm also a birth doula, which is a emotional support, physical support, and informational support. We just kind of help women through the process of pregnancy, labor, and then early postpartum. I'm also an author. I am an educator. I'm a wife and a mother of five, as well as a stepmom to one.
That's awesome to know. So, Miss Jennifer, I'd like to ask you what inspired you to start Interwoven Therapeutic?
Well, I've had my business many years. My former company name was Be Well Doula and Massage, but that didn't feel like it was able to encompass everything that I was growing into in this new season of life. So about a year and a half ago, actually, is when I rebranded to Interwoven Therapeutic because I felt like it was able to expand into all of the different stages that I didn't know where, I don't know where I'm going to go, but it felt like it had room for a wide net because we are, I believe, an interwoven person. We are body, mind, and spirit. And when I look at a person who comes in and tells me what's going on with their body, I don't want to just look at them as a collection of symptoms. I want to actually see the whole person in front of them. Is there something that they are maybe fearful of, that their body is making it hard for them to relax? Is there something that they are holding on to from their past that's making it hard for them to maybe do a certain motion? Or I don't know all of the whys, and for the work that I do, it doesn't matter why it happened. I'm not a mental health therapist, so I'm not working through traumatic experiences in that way with people, but I am walking through it in a way of like, hey, your body is feeling this. Let's just acknowledge that it's there in your body, thank it for doing its job, and then remind it that it doesn't need to be there anymore because you're not under that same fight or flight response for whatever triggered the holding pattern in the first place. So that's kind of why I rebranded the way I did. I needed it to be able to grow with my speaking and my teaching, my authorship, all of the different aspects of how I feel as if my business is changing and growing in this particular season.
That's wonderful to know. So, Miss Jennifer, I'd like to ask you what inspired you to become an author?
Well, I've always loved writing. From the time that I was in junior high and high school, it was really how I worked through all of those horrible teenage experiences that everybody has. No one can get away from horrible teenage experiences, I don't think. Everyone has hard stuff that they go through. And that was a particularly hard season for me. I dealt with a lot of depression and things like that. And so working through some of those things through writing, through poetry, through songwriting, it really helped me to connect with what I was feeling and find an outlet so that it didn't have to stay stuck inside of me. By the time I was in junior high and high school, I had already gone to counseling for some traumatic things I had experienced as a very young child. And so I had a lot of tools at a very young age that I learned how to apply in some very tangible ways. It didn't make it easy, but it meant that I had tools that I could choose to pick up and use. So writing was one of the tools that I felt like this is a way that I can feel what I'm feeling completely and then be done with it. Once it's on paper, I don't have to have it festering inside of me anymore.
That's good. That's great to know. So the summary is that, so if I could sum it up, it is that you, that thing which you used to have, you don't have it because you have written in the book and now you are publishing it, so everyone else is reading it. So it doesn't mean that
No,
it has to stay with you.
no. So for a lot of at least that particular season of time, that was just like heartaches of like my friends. Do I have friends? I feel alone in the world. There's a a girl that's been mean to me. There's a class that I don't know how to do something. I feel alone, or what, those type of emotions, and I would just write it out, and then I'd feel better not having it in me. My first book is actually a children's book that has nothing to do with any of that. It's a story about the bond between mom and baby in utero, and how the baby is developing different senses and different things about what's going on with them, and how that can correlate to the heartbeat of the mom, and how that's really the first song that the baby's ever heard is the rhythm of the heartbeat, and our babies are the only ones who will ever get to hear that sound from the inside, and it's a unique special bond. So that's what the book is about. And then the other book that I'm a part of is called Legacy in Ink, and it's a of what is it 142 different authors from all over the world who came together and submitted at least a portion of something for this book, and we all came together May 30th in Philadelphia, and we became Guinness World Record holders for the most number of authors simultaneously signing a book at the same time. So those are the two books that I have out currently that my name is attached to. I do have others that are in the works, but they're not high priorities right now. There's other things that are a little bit more pressing with a timeline. So I have to figure out how to draw my next story, and I'm not particularly sure how to do that yet. So I'm learning one visual perspective at a time, and I don't know how long it'll take me, but the story is there, the concept is there. It's just got to come from here onto the paper.
Yep. So sooner or never, the third book of Miss Jennifer Stout will be out.
I'm sorry, you cut out. Would you say that one more time?
Oh, my bad. I was saying that sooner or later, your third book would be out.
Yes, and then I actually have a lovely idea for a more autobiography style book that I continue to have people tell me I need to write. So I that will be a little bit more long term goal. I have to get the stories out as they come to me from all of life, and then kind of figure it out from there. But yeah, I hope to have a bunch of different books, a bunch of different kinds of books. There's a lot of different ways to tell stories, and every age is worthy of having stories told to them. People are
Yep.
valuable from in utero, as babies, as children. I think that we undervalue children. We forget how important children are. And when we look back on our lives, what are the most influential things that we go through? It's typically in our childhood. So why don't we do better for our children? It boggles my mind. So there we go. That's a tangent for another day. But that's why my first book was a children's book, is because I want the kids to see the value that they held before we ever held them. It's
Yep.
intrinsic in
That's a
humanity.
awesome. Yep.
So
That's an
yeah.
awesome way to explain the whole story to the children. Thank you so much, Miss Jennifer, for sharing that with us. So, Miss Jennifer, I'd like to ask you, what is one lesson that you will always keep to yourself, which you have learned throughout your journey?
Well, through my professional journey or my personal journey, I guess would be
It could
the
be
question.
both, or or from any one
That's
of them.
that's that's a really hard question, only because my parents were both very, very good at instilling the same principles repeated over and over and over again. So there's about like 15 sayings of my parents that I've got on like repertoire in my head, that at any point I can just pull one out for any situation. Drives my kids crazy sometimes, but one lesson I would learn, or I would want to make sure I learn I was extremely grateful in my education as a massage therapist that I had a very extensive ethics classes where we learned about not only ethics but the difference between ethics and morals and boundaries and how to have firm boundaries. We had an extensive role playing portion of class where we did a lot of here's a scenario that the therapist is aware of, and here's the scenario that the patient is aware of, and then we are going to observe what happens with them in a treatment style room in front of the class, and then we got to see how something can easily fold out, or and then how uncomfortable it can feel immediately, and you can feel stuck and not know what to do and then just freeze. And we were able to work through how to not freeze, and that was honestly one of the most invaluable lessons I learned starting my career. I didn't have to wait 10, 20 years into my massage profession before I realized that my no is a complete sentence. I don't need to repeat myself. And there's definitely some things with the massage industry that makes it important to have very strong hours schedule. Some of these things that are just cancellation fees, all of these things that you don't know are going to be difficult positions that you find yourself in. And then as I've learned how to do that well in my massage profession, that's naturally bled out into my personal life, where I I don't feel like I've got points in my life where I feel just stuck and I don't know what to do because I've had opportunities to practice. Um, it makes it easier to navigate because your brain actually has literally a neural pathway through that navigation already. So
Yep.
teaching strong boundaries and the opportunity to practice it is probably the lesson that's been one of the most helpful in my professional life.
That's wonderful to know. Thank you so much for sharing that insightful answer with me, with us. So I would like to ask you that why do you think what is the importance of self awareness in your perspective?
Well, I think that I think that that's an interesting question because I do think it's important to be aware of yourself, but I think that most people are too aware of themselves at a surface level, and that isn't the answer. I think that people need to be willing to be uncomfortable with themselves and be uncomfortable with the yucky truths about who they are that they don't want to face. Um, we all have yucky parts. We all have things that we are not proud of, that we shouldn't be doing, that we aren't proud that we used to do, that, I say it like we have a chapter of our book that we don't want read out loud. Don't be so eager to read somebody else's, as kind of my warning against gossip, that hopefully my kids will just get planted. But I think that it's not just about self awareness. I think that we need to be still and quiet enough to let our bodies talk to us instead of us talking to ourselves. Does that make sense? We need to
Yep.
be much more willing to listen and much less chatty. And I say that as an
So we need
extrovert
to
who
listen
has
more.
plenty of
So we
words.
need to so we need to listen more and talk less.
Yes. I Another way that I say it is our body is always communicating with us, but most of us have not learned how to listen or what it's saying when it is talking to us. We don't know how to listen in the whisper. We wait until it's screaming at us in pain and we feel broken, and you've waited too long. You need to try to find that whisper sound, um, and see if you can catch it early and maybe not have the point where you feel broken walking into my clinic, because nobody wants to see you hobbling along. Like, that's not that that I don't enjoy that. That makes me sad. I want my clients to feel well and want to see me, not need to see me.
That's great to know. So, what do you think? What is the best way someone could listen to their body rather than talking to themselves?
I think focusing on what's happening in the sensations in their body when they're breathing. I think laying in a spot, I think one of the best times to do this is right before bed. There's a reason that our minds race and think of everything right before bed, right? We've quieted our body and then our mind takes over, right? Well,
Yep.
what if we could learn to quiet the mind so that we could listen to the body? And a lot of the self-care stretching that I do, a lot of the manual work that I do on myself is right before bed, because that's when I'm able to have a quiet house with no kids saying, "Mom, mom, 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 hey mom, I need this." And I'm like, "No more questions." Mom's brain is done. If no, your father is in the room too. He is capable. Yesterday he said, "No more questions to mom, guys. Everybody, you've directed at me." I'm like, thank you. Um, God bless him. What was the question? Yeah. No, I think that there's a lot of ability to listen if we ask ourselves what we're feeling. But most of the time, we're taught basically to avoid listening to our body. We're taught to shove it down, push harder. Oh, no pain, no gain. Oh my gosh, I don't want to hear that anymore. It's not true. No,
So,
it might
so
be
you
it
don't
might be
believe in
true when
this?
it comes to building muscle. You do have to create micro tears in the muscle so that it can rebuild, and then micro tear and then rebuild. So yes, there is a little bit of that that's true in specific areas of health and wellness, but that is not true for the whole spectrum of health and wellness, if that makes sense. I believe that there's much more benefit that you can do when you go to the beginning of something and deal with it there than having to try to uproot something that's had time to sustain itself. It's established. There's already other holding patterns that are created at that point. And so, yeah, you might fix one issue, but you still have four others that have popped up because of that one. It just doesn't
Yep.
make sense to me. I'd rather catch it at the first sign, because you were able to hear that, yeah, I just took that step up those stairs funny, and I just felt like something in my ankle just wasn't right when I landed. I mean, it didn't hurt, but I could tell something wasn't right, so I wanted to come in and have you work on it. Perfect. You listened to the whisper.
Yep, that's awesome to know. So you don't know, you believe that no pain, no gain is true, but in specific areas of health and wellness, not the overall.
Yes, absolutely. Because I used to do very deep tissue myofascial release. And about 3 years ago, I went to a class and it completely changed my life. And that's not an exaggeration. I feel so much more like pull up my glasses. I'm a nerd now. But I'm proud of it. Like, physics made sense in a way that it never had before. I didn't understand how a massage therapy class could make science make sense. That doesn't make sense. Why am I into quantum biomechanics? Why am I learning about these things and somehow it makes sense all of a sudden? It changed my whole world. And one of the principles was less pressure allows the nervous system to trust you, and you're working with the nervous system instead of against it. And I was like, oh, I've been metaphorically kicking the body while it was down for the last 12 years and didn't know it. I mean, I wasn't hurting people. I mean, I was still helping them. I was still very good at it. But from a nervous system standpoint, I felt like I had done so much less than I could have if I had known that sooner.
That's awesome to know. So, what is your motivation to keep working, keep grinding during hard times?
I love what I do. I don't feel like it's work. It's my mission. This is my calling, is to work with families, work with my community, work with people, and connect them to their bodies better, to learn how to be still with their body, to just be present with their breath, long enough to feel, oh yeah, when I'm expanding my rib cage, there is a little catch in that one spot that I never noticed before. You're listening to the whisper. Oh yeah, I didn't, I don't know what happened, but like I took that deep breath, and when I did that, like there was something like electric in my hamstring. You're listening to the whisper. We're asking the body to just tell us where it wants us to be aware of, so that when we do get body work, those are the areas that can be addressed. And who knows sometimes I'm drawn to a completely different place than where the client's saying that they're feeling stuff. Then they get on the table and we work on a couple of different places, and then when I get to the place that I was drawn to, it triggers the spot that they're feeling the pain in, even though I'm not touching it. Oh, it's like it's all connected. Who knew? So I've learned to trust when my eyes are drawn to a certain place on someone and I don't know why. I'm listening to the symptoms that you're telling me. So I'm hearing your emotional objective portion, but then there's something subjective that I'm seeing. Excuse me, I'm listening to your subjective, but then I'm visualizing your objective. Something that's just there that I can't quite identify, and then I want the whole person treated on the table, not just the collection of symptoms, not just what I'm seeing, but the whole person, so that when they take that deep breath, it's not just a deep breath for their body. It is a soul giving, peace bringing deep breath that allows you to feel connected to yourself and at peace within your own body, so that hopefully you can carry that health and wellness outside of my clinic and feel better in between appointments.
That's awesome to know. So, what advice would you give to someone starting a purpose driven career in your industry? What would be your advice so they could, so like they could pop off like the way you did?
Yeah, well, I mean, I would say for any industry, really, the advice I would give is find someone whose life in all aspects you want yours to look like, and then ask if you can just puppy dog around them for a couple of months. Like, can I just like be your shadow? Can I just like be behind you let me follow you around, please? Can I I'll get you your coffee. Like, just learn from you, like the knowledge that people can give in the unthought about scraps of conversation, for lack of a better visual. There's a lot of wisdom that can be discarded as just not thought about because, well, it's so ingrained in your life. You say it like it's, the color purple. But for somebody else, that could be life-giving. So the ability to just be in proximity to people that have the integrity and character that you want your life to look like, and the business skills that you can learn to benefit not only yourself, but what problem do you want to solve in the world? I like that question much better than what do you want to do when you grow up, because it's almost like reverse engineering the issues. I don't care what you want to be. What do you want to do? What problem do you want to solve? What do you want to create to make things better? Those are better questions to ask our youth, so that they're asking better questions about how they want the direction of their life to go, so that they have more fulfillment, so it doesn't feel like a job.
Hmm. Great way of summing it up and pronouncing it. All right. Thank you so much, Miss Jennifer, for coming on and giving your wonderful time. I appreciate your presence and your wonderful answers. So, yes, everyone, she was Miss Jennifer Stoult. She is the founder of Interwoven Therapeutic. I hope I pronounced it right.
Pretty
Yes,
good.
thank you. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys in with another guest. Till then, keep doing great things and goodbye.